What up? This is Robert Ory.
Ory, three-pointer. Buries it!
You might know me as Big Shot Bob.
To Ory for three. Oh, unbelievable. This guy is off the charts.
What's going on, Big Shot Bob?
Robert Ory from downtown.
It is the Big Shot Bob Pod. B-Dog Brandon Harper. I'm Rob Jenner, 7-time NBA champion. Robert Ory, admiring the home office setup that I've got going over here. We're getting there, though. I see your fat heads back there. What are those little?
Oh, those been back there for a while.
Oh,
man.
okay. I didn't notice.
I like your office better, and I got to clean my office. When you share an office with your wife, you can't really do what you want to do because you have to be like, okay, this is.
So you guys
our
share
office.
the office?
Yeah, man. What the hell am I going to do with the office, man? I got a job.
You do this. You get this. This is a job. It doesn't pay, but it's a job. I don't pay nothing, but it's a job.
Yeah,
Counts.
but I really like yours. I like the Simpsons 600. Who's that in the up by 99 up there?
Oh, if you could, I'll tilt the camera up so you could see it. You remember Back to the Future, right?
Yeah.
That's Mayor Goldie Wilson. Progress is his middle name. One of my all-time favorite movies, Back to the Future. My wife got me that years ago, just Mayor Goldie Wilson. So I framed him and I put him up in the office. Mayor Goldie Wilson.
Hey, but why? All right. When we do pictures like that back in the day, when you do it for for high school, and they always make you do that stiff pose where you got your neck, turn your head. I hated those, man.
Yeah.
I don't
Looks
know
serious.
why they do that, man. I look back at my Alabama pictures where I'm posing like that. I'm like, this shit look terrible.
We had a big upset last night. A couple big upsets in college basketball last night. We were talking about before we started. Georgia Tech knocks off North Carolina, number 3 North Carolina at home last night. Yeah. We have Coach Damon Stoudamire on the show today. Head coach of the Jackets, of course. In NBA, would you call Stoudamire a legend? An NBA legend? I don't know if we would throw the word legend around. But he was a great player.
We'll give him that tie just because he was Rookie of the Year. Let's call him a legend.
We'll call him a legend. NBA legend. And Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets head coach Damon Stoudamire, which we taped a few days ago. So we taped it ahead of them upsetting North Carolina last night. But we will talk to Damon Stoudamire. And, great stories, great time. Rob levying very hard to get Chris recruited to Georgia Tech.
Really now, because they got a good team.
Yeah, man.
And just so we can do this podcast in the studio together, man. So I'll be in the ATL, man, the Dirty South.
Bring it. Dude, bring it. Let's go. Let's go. It's funny because I think in the Stoudamire interview, he says at one point, because I had asked him, what brought you back to college? And he talks about going back to Georgia Tech. And he said at the time there weren't a lot of head coaching jobs open. Yeah. And then he turned around and, within 5 seconds of us wrapping that interview, the Bucks fire Adrian Griffin. Just like, yeah. And that, that story is, it was our post-credit scene last week. As soon as we finished taping the show, I think B walked in the studio and was like, oh, by the way, the Bucks just fired Adrian Griffin. What? They were the number 2 seed at the time they got fired. They were 30-13. And now Doc Rivers, the eternal NBA, this is the wrong way to frame it. I'm going to say cockroach. He comes out from under the woodwork all the time. And I think Harp and I talked about it. It's not often you see a guy get to ride his accomplishment of one NBA title as far as Doc Rivers has ridden that 2008 Celtics title.
I told y'all this a while ago, and obviously we can't go back into the archives and find it, so people won't believe me. But I told y'all that nobody is being able to milk a title more than Doc Rivers is by continuously getting jobs. And I told y'all that what was the last job he had? The Sixers job?
Yeah.
That was not going to be the last job that he ever had. I don't know when it was going to happen.
I think everybody thought it was, though.
The last job. After
the way it fizzled out in L.A. and then the way it fizzled out in Philly, I thought everybody was like, all right, Doc's going to go to ESPN. This is just his MO. He's going to do this now. I did not. I'm like, for starters, I didn't even see the Adrian Griffin thing coming. I didn't even know that was cooking. I mean, there must have been some stuff going on behind the scenes that we just didn't know about and hear about,
So go ahead. But so for me, if you go back and you look at a lot of these sports shows, they've been talking about it forever, almost like with the Ty Lue thing. It's like you put it out there in the universe because someone's not living up to expectations, and they were talking about their defense. I'm like, you lost your best defensive player. you sent Holiday away. And so you expect to have the same defensive scheme and the same and it's just, people like they don't understand like when certain people mean a lot to a team, even though they ain't putting up freaking 30 points a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a minute, it's not that because they were sitting at 2 in the East. And some people be like, okay, 30-13, what coach would get fired? But I don't think the leadership in the front office thought that Adrian Griffin was garnering the respect from a lot of the players that they thought that he should have. And I guess they felt as though he wasn't the man to kind of lead them moving forward. And there was a lack of respect. There was a lack of just hearing him and listening to him because he is a first-year head coach. And you're dealing with Giannis, and you're dealing with Dame Lillard, and you're dealing with a lot of other veterans on that team who've been there, done that, and got a T-shirt to go with it. And I'm not saying that it's
Dame
fair.
hasn't been there, done that, though, yet. He's trying to get there.
He has. Yeah. But Dame is a superstar.
Yeah.
So even with being a superstar, there are certain guys that, unfortunately, that you, after a while, their voice grows stale. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we hear you. We don't go out there and do what we want to do. And that may have been the case with Adrian Griffin. I'm not saying that it's fair.
Yeah.
Because that's his first opportunity.
Yeah. And the crazy part is like you look at the record and you look at what he's accomplished and you hear the rumors about how the players didn't like his defensive scheme, how he was yelling at other coaches. You think about what's that coach? Was it Scott that quit before the season even started? He was like he brought in a high profile coach who had been, a head coach, and then he put him as his lead assistant coach. And before the season started, he says, "Oh, I quit." So, I think from right there, all the rumors started, and everybody was looking at him, waiting for him to just, like Dave Chappelle, I fucked up. Trying to wait for him to fuck up. That's what they were waiting to do. And it's so funny. I meant to send y'all that thing that I just.
Oh yeah, you just sent us a link
from Riot Comedy, man. They are funny, man. So I got that, and I meant to send it to you, but I totally forgot. So y'all have to check that out and laugh with me.
Do we want to draw the conspiracy theory to say that it's odd that Adrian Griffin gets fired right after Dame Lillard joins Milwaukee? Do we want to draw any parallels there, or no? We're not gonna look at that.
I don't think so.
Not that I think he had a hand in it, but
But at the end of the day, that's Giannis's team. I don't care. I don't care if you.
Well, Giannis said that at the press conference. Remember that a few weeks ago. He's like, we need to be coached better. We need to be. He was trying to call everybody out, but he specifically said we need to be coached better at that presser.
Yeah. He tried to cover his ass. We even we need the equipment managers be better. We need the water boards. I think he
realized it. Yeah,
he covered his ass though.
He did.
He's right. But at the same time, I'll take the Shaq theory as well. Coaching is cool, but y'all got to go out there and play better. If that's the case, you got to put a lot of ownership on you because the coach can draw up the best possible plays, the best possible defensive schemes. But if you're going out there on the floor and you're not properly executing and guys are not doing their job, guys are getting beat off the dribble, they're not being active enough on defense, that's a y'all thing.
Yeah.
And I understand that, ownership in front offices can't just fire players because obviously that's a lot of money. But y'all got to take some level of responsibility because guess what? When you all win, I understand that the coaches get some credit, but the players get most of the credit. But when y'all lose, all the blame goes on the coaches because they're the ones that get fired first.
Yeah. I like the fact that when some players do mess up, it's like, yo, it's on me. I messed up tonight. I didn't perform. Take the blame. But I also like when coaches, when they don't call proper timeouts or they, think they can do something, it's a two-way street.
It is. He was only 43 games into his tenure with the Bucks, taking over from Mike Budenholzer over the summer. I don't know, man. Doc Rivers.
But
at no point do you look at that and go, you know the answer?
Yeah.
Doc Rivers.
Yeah. It's really, I go back to the contract that, Glenn Robinson got with the Milwaukee Bucks. His contract was worth more than that team was at that time. Now this team is paying 3 coaches, 2 to sit their asses at home.
Yep.
All this money, like I was like, where did they get all this damn money from? I know it's been like 30 years since Big Dog got that contract, but they went from one of the small market teams. Now you got enough money to pay 3 coaches. That'll let you know where the NBA has gone over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, They're billionaires.
If you got it, you got it.
It's monopoly money now. He's just throwing that shit around.
Dude, everything. It's in sports especially. NBA, yes, but just sports in general.
Yeah.
Just total monopoly money. Lakers were in town last night. We're in Atlanta. Lakers Hawks. Lakers dropped another one. It seems like every time I turn around, James Worthy's on my feed blasting the Lakers. Embarrassing losses, worst loss of the year. It was just a lot of that stuff. But, man, state of the Lakers right now. What ain't working? What needs to be fixed here?
Well, I didn't get the chance to see the game because my son had a playoff game last night. But I heard that Murray went at them just last night, so I don't know what happened.
He scored like 26 or something, didn't he?
Yeah, I heard he went at them. Was he auditioning? What was he doing?
He might have been.
Like, I might be worth those
with all the rumors going around. Yeah,
this
very well could have been an audition. You're right.
Yeah, but it was. The Lakers are going to be. I hate to say this, they're going to be in trouble, man, because this road trip. You start out with a double overtime in Golden State. Now you get beat by the Hawks.
Now 24.
Beat bad
in
by the
33 minutes on the floor.
And I hate to say this, they're probably gonna get the brakes beat off them by Boston because that's a rival game. And so this road trip probably gonna be 1-4 when they get by the time they get. Might be 1-5. I think they play someone else. But I just know we talk about the last 5 games. But
the Hawks pretty much, from an offensive standpoint, probably played one of their most complete games of the season. All 5 starters were in double figures.
Yeah.
And for Atlanta, that's rare.
Yeah.
For Atlanta, that's rare.
Yeah, they got, the next game is, Boston, and they got the Knicks. And if they lose, the Knicks are playing.
The Knicks have been playing real well.
Playing their asses up. But, and then if they lose to Charlotte, we might have another coach on the hot seat then.
And yeah, Darvin.
Yeah.
And he might not make it.
Yeah, this and I understand, trades aren't easy to make because obviously, you can want whatever you want, but the other team that you're trading with has to agree with that. And God forbid there's a third team involved like we've been hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And look, no one is quick to help the Lakers out when it comes to anything because obviously they're the Lakers. Like, Lakers are involved in, their name, every player who's on the trade block, their name is connected to the Lakers. The Lakers have interest in this. The Lakers have interest in that. The Lakers have, quote unquote, interest in a lot of things. But something is going to have to happen. I feel as though we're in this same place every season. And guess what's going to happen? Something's going to happen towards the end of the season. The Lakers are going to go on a run, might get a play-in, might even actually sneak into the playoffs. And guess what? End up right back in the Western Conference Finals.
Playoffs?
You Jim Morris all of a sudden?
We do this as long as I can remember, we've done this every single season.
Yeah.
It's frustrating how the Lakers are so consistently inconsistent, and at the end of the year, dang, they found their way to the Western Conference Finals, and then next year, the Lakers could be a top 3 or top 4 team in the league. By the time we get to December, they sitting there at 12th.
Hey, let me just say this. They think they can flip that switch, and they can't flip that switch like that, man, because they don't have enough people on that team that are consistent defensively. I ain't worried about the offensive part, but it's the defensive part. At the end of the day, you got to be able to stop someone. You got to be able to get a rebound. You got to be able to make the right play when it's time to be made. And I look at this team, and they'll go on a run. They'll be having 15 points, and I look over at my wife, I look over at my co-workers, and I'm like, they about to fuck this up because they'll start taking bad shots. They won't play defense, and it's like, see, here we go. And they look at me, how you know, right? Because they don't value the basketball so much. They don't value a possession. They'll come down and think, we up 15. If I make this 3, we go up 18. That's going to demoralize them. No players in this league get demoralized by threes anymore because that's the nature of the game. But you got to be consistent, and they're not. They're the most inconsistent team when you watch them.
Well, you spoke about defense. We've had, let me see, how many is it? I wrote it down here. 5 50-plus point performance, 60-plus point performances on the season this year. Luka, the other night, posts 73.
Now, I was in the building for that game.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were there because that was against the Hawks. You were definitely in the building for that. Luka throws up 73, 10 boards, 7 assists. Biggest scoring night of the season for any individual player. We had Embiid obviously did 70. Giannis did a 64. Booker and Kat both put up a 62. So, yeah, 5 60-plus point performances, and we're not even to the All-Star break yet.
and I think Booker in the last 5 or 6 games is averaging 50, right? Or something crazy
something like
that.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, something completely wild like that.
But, it's the nature of the game now. Adam Silver and the referees have gotten together and taken defense out of the game. You can't play defense. Everything is a foul now. And guys know they can't play defense, and so they don't want to play defense, so no defense is played. And I was sitting there watching the game the other night, and some of the fouls they were giving guys, and then you give that. And it's almost like things are reversed now. The guys they trying to make the superstars and, the face of the league, they're giving them these fouls that aren't fouls and making their points go up. And then the people that are the face of the league, it's like, oh, you about to time out. So we're not going to give you the foul, so your point production won't be high. And it's so weird. And it's like you want the games, they say, oh, we want the games to be faster. But most of the points are being scored from the free throw line. So that means the games aren't going faster because you're slowing us down by sending them to the free throw line.
Yeah. I'll say this. I forget what he had. I think Luka may have had 40-something at halftime. So he had, I think, 20-something at after the first quarter, and I was like, "Oh boy, it's gonna be one of them nights."
Yeah.
And then by halftime, he was in the 40s, and I said, "Oh, this ain't just one of them nights. This is one of them historic type of nights coming about." And looking at the game, a lot of people see the 73, but what a lot of people have to realize is that how efficiently he got to the 73.
His was very, very efficient.
Like 8 or 13 from 3. He took 33, 34, 35 shots to get to 73 points. And every time he touched the ball, there were a couple of bad shots he took, but every time he touched the ball and he shot it, I felt as though it was going in.
Yeah.
He was like, what, 25 for 34 or something, like 28 for 34?
Yeah.
It was something ridiculous.
I think he only did it on 34, 35 shots or something like that.
Hey, can y'all answer this question? So he not only did he have 73 points, but he had 10 rebounds and 7 assists. So he was 3 assists away from having the highest scoring triple-double in NBA history. Can you tell me the 2 guys who have the highest scoring triple-double in NBA history?
Wilt Chamberlain definitely won.
No, he's not.
He's not?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
I'm surprised.
I'll give you a hint. Both of them are still playing.
Ooh, LeBron.
So it's got to be LeBron.
Embiid is one, right?
Nope.
Ooh.
Giannis?
Nope.
Westbrook.
No, but close.
Damn.
In proximity, close.
Kevin
Harden.
Harden.
Yeah.
Has
He had
to
a
be.
60-point triple-double. And then there's one more person.
Booker?
Mm-mm.
No.
Probably somebody we would never think of.
Donovan Mitchell.
He's a superstar. He's one of them.
Dame Lillard.
And I said Dame.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's going to be a random one. Karl Anthony Towns.
No, it's not random at all.
LeBron?
Not LeBron.
No, we said that.
Yeah.
Not AD, is it?
Mm-mm. Just let me know when y'all want me to tell you.
Tell me now.
Yeah, go ahead, man. 'Cause I've guessed every player I could think of.
Luka.
Oh, I guess that makes
He's had a
sense.
60-point triple-double before.
Oh.
So he would have broken his own record.
I was
Would
thinking
have broken his own record.
You trick questioned us on that one. I was thinking away from Luka.
I know, right?
Tricked us. That's some shit I would pull. What are you doing? That's my move. Ask you a trick question.
So,
Well, just for the sake of looking back at it, last season you had Donovan and Spida both had 71-point games. I'm sorry, Dame and Spida. Luka and Damian Lillard both put up 60. So you had 4 total 60-plus point games last season in total. 2021, you had 2. Kyrie and Karl Anthony Towns. 2020, you had 3. Steph, Beal, and Tatum. And then when you start looking back, they start falling off dramatically. And you can really see the evolution of, like you said, Rob, where defense is just, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
We stopped doing it. Stop flexing on it. Because I went back and I looked at them like, when did Kobe put up the 81? That was 18 years ago.
06.
Yeah. The only other 60-plus point performance on the season was Kobe. So he was the only one to do it, and he did it twice in the same season. No one else even did it. Then you find these other years where there's just none of them. Years of the 90s. Shaq had a 61 in 1999.
On his birthday.
Yep. David Robinson famously hung the 71.
On the Clippers.
On the Clippers in the last,
the scoring title to beat Shaq.
game of the season to beat Shaq for the scoring title. But you just don't, it's crazy because I was like, there can't be that many when you look back historically, and you can see the last 6 to 8 years, there's a bunch. And then they just fall right off the cliff. And there's one random one here and there.
Yeah. You know, we talk about, MJ put that double nickel on the Knicks, and stuff like that. The game today is played so different in the sense that the way that players can, get away with so much stuff offensively. And, it's as a true basketball player and a traditionalist, like when they travel and when they carry and when they talk about this is the greatest time of basketball. Not really, man, because they're allowed to travel, they're allowed to carry, they're allowed to do the things that are taken away from basketball being elite and being special. 2 steps, pull up jumper, step back, land on 2 feet. Now a step back, you can land on 1, 2, then do a step through, and it's not a travel. It's just so many. The game is changing, the game is evolving, and that's you can be mad like some of us are. You cannot be mad because the guys are still creative as hell. They're still talented as hell, and they eat, drink, and I'm going to add this, from smoke basketball all the time.
I smoke everything else. Why not add basketball? All right, the last thing I'm going to talk about before we get to Coach Stoudamire, Damon Stoudamire is going to join us here next. We have the All-Star starters announced this week. Western Conference, LeBron James leads the starting group with Shea, Luka, Durant, and Jokic. Giannis leads the East alongside Halliburton, Dame, Jason Tatum, and Joel Embiid. It's your starters.
I just think
anybody missing?
I think out of everybody that was mentioned, and this is no disrespect to Dame, I don't think Dame should be a starter. I think Jalen Brunson should be the starter for the East.
With the way he's been playing?
The way he's been playing. And people were like, well, Dame, but you got to think of, they have a better record than Milwaukee, right? The Knicks?
No.
They don't?
No. Milwaukee's number 2 in the East.
Yeah.
I thought they were going back and forth. Like 1 week, this New York. But I still think they should have been Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson has been,
I agree.
He's been just flat out killing it. So, but you can't go wrong with either one. Dame is good, but I just think sometimes you got to say, Jalen Brunson's been playing his ass off. You got 2 players off the Bucks. You should only give them 1.
Knicks, by the way, are only a game and a half behind the Bucks.
See, that's what I mean. It's like
32 and 15. The Knicks are 31 and 17.
See, they've been kicking ass.
They're right there, man.
Brunson's been killing, man. So
I had no clue the Knicks were the 3 seed right now.
Yeah, and I don't want people to think that it's no shade on Dame. I think Dame is having a hell of a season, but I just think you should give that one to Brunson because he's been killing it.
Knicks have won 8 in a row. For what that's worth, it's a nice little streak.
It's crazy because I don't want to ever call anything that Knicks do quiet.
Well, no, but this has been. I didn't know they were.
It's been kind of quiet. They've been talking about them, but it makes it feel like it's been this. Nothing in New York is ever quiet, but it makes it feel as though this has been just a little bit on the hush hush, a little bit
for the Knicks.
They want it that way because the quiet assassins and sneak up on you and take you out. But it's that trade though.
The Anunoby trade?
Yeah, Anunoby. Yeah. For me, that was one of the guys out of everybody that I'm like, okay, if they get rid of dismantle this Toronto team, that is a perfect piece for every team. When you say a guy who can just fit in and do whatever, this guy out of everybody that's been talked about more than anybody, it don't matter what team you go to, he would definitely fit on it.
Yeah. All right, well, let's get to Damon Stoudamire. Like I said, we taped this a few days ago. Tech had a huge win last night. Would have been nice to talk about that, but
I know, right?
We did get to catch up a couple days ago with the head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and a friend of Rob's, Damon Stoudamire.
Rob, you want to start this thing, man? So we can. I know, Dame, you got you important person, man. You got shit to do. So
I ain't gonna lie, I do got a lot of shit to do though. But I'm
I ain't gonna lie. Well, I mean, he's the man. He's Damon Stoudamire. He's the head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Obviously, a friend of Rob's, going way back to the NBA days. The interview before the interview is classic. One of my favorite things. But how you doing, Coach? Good to see you, man.
Man, good to see you guys, and I'm doing well, thank you.
All right, so Robert Horry stories. Let's go. What do we got? What do we got?
There aren't any.
I don't have too many. I don't have too many stories. You know, we're older now.
Oh, yeah.
Some stories you keep to yourself, but then I'll give you this one, and it was probably about the time I moved. Probably about the time I moved down to Houston. So I think Rob might have been at the end of his Lakers, the end of the Lakers day, going to San Antonio. But I remember we played them in the playoffs, and this was in Portland. And by that time, the 2000 had passed, so they were the Lakers by then. I think this was probably. I think it wasn't the next year. Maybe it was because we ended up playing you guys 3 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Playoff. So I think it was the third year. And by that time, our team was, we was going another direction. It was about to, dismantle the team or whatnot. And, you were in the corner. I think we were up 1, and man, I don't even know if you remember, but I know you.
I remember.
You hit so many big shots that I think Kobe drove. He hit you in the corner. And I want to say it might have been Ruben Patterson or somebody. Maybe it wasn't Ruben. I know somebody came off the corner. Man, Kobe hit you, and I looked the other way because you just want to hear the crowd reaction. I looked the other way, and that went in, and I was just like, man.
It was.
And then Rob by that time, that was what he was known for. So he made the shot, and then he looks towards the bench, but he's not necessarily looking at the bench, but he's looking at the crowd, but he's looking over the bench. So he's looking at us too.
That's what it's weird. I remember that because they made a big deal out of it because I think we swept you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we swept you, and it was a shot where we had Ruben on Kobe, and it was a one-on-one. Kobe drove my side, and it was Scotty who actually dipped off the Kobe.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. You're right.
But here's the part you leaving out, though. If you go back and look at the video, you got a towel and you swing it like next to me to try to get me to miss it, and I made the shot. See, you didn't want to tell that part. So you swing the towel, and then you walked away, and then all of a sudden it was splash.
Oh, yeah, I was like, man, it's over, man. We gave this dude a rhythm jump shot in the corner for the game.
Hey, Coach, I do want to ask, I know, with your NBA ties and you coming from the league and now, it's a different monster in college. When you look at, I don't know how much of the league you get to look at now because you're so busy with, with the kids and everything. But when you and Rob played, obviously it was a lot more physical. You talk about the 80s going into the 90s and hand checking and everything like that. When you look at the league now and the lack of physicality or how they're calling a little bit of everything, I know things evolve and they change, but how do you kind of view the league now and when it comes to fouls and looking at certain things and being like, that's a foul, or you can't let them play, you can't let them do this and that? Like, what do you think about the league now when it comes to the lack of physicality?
It's crazy because I maybe have a different view than a lot of people. I actually don't mind it, to be honest with you. I think because in the league now, I think that there aren't anything but finesse players. So the way the game is played, everybody plays finesse.
Yeah.
So it's no different than anything. Like right now, for instance, if Rob was in the league, the way Rob played, Rob would have been perfect for the league right now today. The way he came into the league from Alabama to the way he evolved, he would have been, he would have been a versatile four. Then as he got older, And as we all do, and we don't want to do nothing but shoot them spotters, he would have been a stretch five.
Yeah.
And I would have been a guy that, was making plays. But then as I got older, as long as you can make a jump shot, man, it's cool. You know what I mean? So I just don't think there's a lot of power players in the NBA now, even with the guys that we consider power players. Because I think, I always tell people, even in college, and I don't struggle with it, but I don't know how much I would want to coach a straight up power player right now because of the way the game is played. So, to throw the ball into somebody, the way we used to throw the ball into our bigs back when we played, the motto now is, twos don't beat you, threes do.
Yeah.
So it's almost like somebody think they killing and they really not, because if you got these teams shooting 33s a game, and let's just say they hit 10, 11 of them and your team only makes 5 of them, you probably going to lose still.
Yeah.
So I think it's so different from that standpoint. But then I would say this as well, because we just played Clemson the other night. Man, I think Clemson might be more physical than any pro team we played against when I was in Boston for these last couple of years. Seriously, outside of maybe of Milwaukee. And for me, I say Milwaukee because when we played Milwaukee, it's one thing to play 4 games against a team. But when we played Milwaukee in the playoffs, my first year in Boston, I thought Giannis was Shaq, but dribbling. I think he put the most pressure on anybody in the NBA. I think he's the hardest person to call in the NBA because he put so much pressure on you going downhill. And truthfully, man, don't nobody want to get in the way of that.
Nah.
Not right now because of the fact that there's no physicality. And so I just felt like guarding him, I was just like, man, I don't know what we gonna do with dude. Like, because when he gets a rebound, he can push the ball. I'm just telling you, it was like, yes, he's not as big as Shaq, but it was like Shaq dribbling, coming at you full speed. Like, what do? Nobody wants to get in the way of that. So college to me today is way more physical than the NBA, though.
Yeah, because I think for me, when I watch college, I love watching college basketball because it's almost like these guys have to play with heart, they have to play with energy, and they have to play with effort because they're trying to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And sometimes when these guys get to the next level, they relax and I made it. I can rest my laurels now. But no, you still got to play hard if you want to get to that elite level of being a champion. So it's just so fun to watch. It could be, it's had to be like the certain teams I watch because it's a graceful game, and the way the guys play it in college is better than me sometimes in the pros.
It's definitely more at stake. And I think, like, if you think about it too, Rob, the one thing about it is nobody really talks about it this way, but, there's more guys. I think that today in college, there are more like no-name guys that make it in the NBA now because the NBA has become such a one-trick pony league. You just got to do one thing really well. Like I tell guys all the time, like, man, you don't got to be well-rounded no more. If you a shooter, shoot. Make open shots. If you a rebounder, rebounder. If you can break people down and make plays, break people down and make plays. But it didn't used to be like that neither. You kind of had to do a lot of everything. You went to school 4 years. I went to school 4 years. You had to have numbers, man. So your body of work is what it was. They wasn't saying when we got drafted, they wasn't talking about no potential. You had to come in and be ready to play from jump. If you were a first round pick, more than likely you were starting. And you were going to get thrown to the wolves, and you was going to have to figure some things out. But you also had a base that's different than guys today. And I think that when you look at the discrepancy in college, or so to speak, where there has become a lot more, it's become a lot more competitive because of the portal and all the different things. But mid majors are able to compete with Power 5 schools because mid majors, they have older players. Power 5s, you got a mixture of players. And then what happens is that the Power Fives go raid the mid majors to get their best players and bring the mid majors up.
Yeah.
And so the balance hasn't shifted. Is that the player movement has made everything shift? From the standpoint of that. And I think that you're seeing that. And now that you had a G League, you have a lot of guys to me I take a guy for instance, and I love him to death. Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser came up with us in Boston. Mm-hmm. So we signed him. We signed him to the two-way, and then Sam played in Maine for the whole season, did a great job. He was getting his stints up there with us. He would come up there and suit up and all the different things. Invested in Sam. Boom, Sam played well. Sam's on the big league team, and his role never changed. Sam was always a shooter. He didn't play no different than he played when he was at Marquette. Then he transferred to Virginia. Then he comes to us in the pros, and then he's in Maine for that stop, and then he goes to the Boston Celtics. His role is to shoot, make open shots, and so I think that that kind of to what you were saying, Rob. I think that makes it it makes it even more competitive as well, because I think that a lot of NBA teams are looking at those type of guys that know how to play with other good players, because these trainers and everything. I said this to a guy the other day. I said, most of the trainers today, they're training guys as if they're the first or second option. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you got to teach guys how to play basketball, and then to me, give them the skill. Because you got to know how to play with other good players to make them successful. You got to know, number one, how to get on the floor. Then you got to know how to stay on the floor. Then all of the skill work comes into play. But if you try to do it in reverse, then it's hard, because as you're going up each levels, everybody's not going to be the best player on that team.
So let me ask you a question. Why? I mean, you had a great thing going with the Celtics. I mean, obviously you spent a lot of time around the league. What about Georgia Tech made you want to kind of come back to college ball?
I looked at Georgia Tech, honestly, as like the 32nd NBA job, because it's in Atlanta, it's in a major city. So most colleges aren't in major cities. Mm-hmm. So to be able to go to come to Atlanta, and have, still a good quality of life, but then be able to be at such a prestigious institution. And then being the ACC conference, I thought it checked all the boxes. Yeah. And, I'll say this too. I mean, it's hard to get a head job, and so I was in a great situation in Boston. We were winning. And the funny thing about it is we had just came back from coaching the All-Star game. And I think we played like 2 or 3 home games. And then we were going on this like 13-day road trip. And then the first game of the road trip was Atlanta, and then that's when I actually got the call. So I never made it past the first game of that trip. I interviewed here in Atlanta. I went to Houston. We played the Rockets, and I flew right back here for the press conference at like 7 in the morning. 9 in the morning. So I just thought that I thought that checked a lot of boxes. I do think about a little bit that you can't predict the future, but 5 jobs did come open, and the thing about it is I felt like I had paid my dues, and I had been through a lot. So honestly, sometimes I think about that, but I kind of let that go. I just think that this is a great opportunity. I think it's a great situation, and you don't really get opportunities like this. And then I say this too. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I don't think Black guys get an opportunity like this at a school like this as well. This is a great opportunity.
The culture of a program is just as important as what you do on the floor. What I recognize, just being down there at the Thriller Dome is just the change of the culture, or the changing of the culture. Just from everything outside and inside. How important is that for you to not just, I guess, be a part of the change of the culture on the floor, but just the change of it just around just the school and everything outside of the Thriller Dome as well, and when it comes to what you're trying to do?
Yeah, for me, being here for this being my first year, I wouldn't know the difference, but I know that a lot of people come up to me, whether, it's, game day admin, whatever that looks like. But it's been nothing but positive, around here. And I think that, the culture that I've tried to create on the inside is one of accountability, and I'm not wavering. And I think that, the biggest thing is trying to get guys to understand that losing is not acceptable. And I think, I've been fortunate enough to win a lot in my career, both as a player and a coach. And, I'm just trying to get these guys to understand they got a little more to give. And so I'm asking a little more of them. And I think that, what's happened is people are seeing that on the floor. And I think that it's energized the fan base and it's given everybody a sense of pride again, and saying that we're going in the right direction, and that's the response I get on the outside, and even Duke game, obviously, that was damn near sellout, but you come back, we play Boston College, man. I mean, the atmosphere, I mean, these games is, there's the excitement and the build up and everything that's come to, man, it's each and every game. It's not just a big game, so to speak. And I think again, you expect it to be crowded on the Duke for Duke, and sometimes it's going to be more Duke fans than Tech fans. But but at the same time too, even during that game, I heard a couple Go Duke chants, and you could hear that get drained out. Yeah. And I always say this: a key to any fan base is students, and the students have done a great job, and they've come out and support the fellas and supported the team, and I think that's all. It always starts with them.
I was going to ask you, Georgia Tech has a rich history in basketball for a while. They was killing it, with that pipeline because of Bobby Crimmins from New York. Do a lot of the guys, now that you got it done, have a lot of guys reached out to you and say, hey, what can I do to help support the program? What can I do for you to get more love and more fanfare for the game?
Yeah. No, a lot of guys, have come around. Dennis, I always see Dennis.
Well, is that because Dennis' son's pretty damn good? You better get him.
Little Trey be hooping, little Trey be shooting. Well, I shouldn't say little Trey, big Trey.
Big Trey. Yeah.
But Dennis is around. James Forrest is around. Malcolm Mackey. I've talked to Mark Price. I talked to Steph. Talked to Kenny. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've tried my best. I see B.O. Brian Oliver. I see B.O. a lot. He brings his daughter in and trains her. So I do see a lot. I do see a lot of the old guys. They do reach out. They have come around. I actually did a golf event with Coach Crimmins, and this weekend is actually, alumni weekend, so there'll be a lot of old guard, come back and be here. But yeah, I've talked to, not only Coach Crimmins guys, I've talked to, Coach Hewitt guys, Thaddeus Young, and all of those guys. So it's been good. They have reached out. They've embraced me, and there's a sense of pride here. Jared Jack came over and talked to the kids when Detroit was in town. Mm-hmm. And so that's been really huge, and I appreciate that, because it's not always easy to come into a situation like you said, Robert, that has a history the way it does, and there are guys out there that have been in coaching, and do coach even now. And they embrace and accept you, but these guys have, and I appreciate them for that.
So can we talk about two of the guys that you had a hand in helping out develop in Boston? Because you got a couple of superstars up there in Boston, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, both were exceptional players and have come along just in wild strides, it seems like.
And got the bag too, Coach.
Man, both got the bags, dude. Talk about those guys specifically, watching them come along together, having to learn how to play off each other. That's sort of dynamic with those guys and the success they found.
The first thing I say about both Jaylen and Jason, I say before I talk about them individually, I talk about them together. The first thing I'll say is like, there's this narrative out there like they don't get along.
Oh, that's always been that they don't they don't want to play together. Yeah.
Right. And so when I got there, I just never seen what everybody was talking about. Mm-hmm. Are they two different people? Of course they are. They're totally different. But I never seen what everybody was talking about. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is I'd never been around two guys that were more coachable than them. And the one thing that nobody talks about is the reason Boston is so good is because they allow you to coach them. They want the critique. I would say this, being in Boston, I don't watch as much NBA, but I still watch the NBA, obviously. And I felt like one of the advantages that we had over a lot of teams, and yeah, we didn't win a championship, but I still feel like that group together will get one. But we didn't win it. But the one thing that I always said is that, man, I said when you can coach your two best players the way they allow you to coach them, critique them, like you can be really good. And as a coach, honestly, like if you didn't coach them, I believe that they would tell management to fire you in their own way, because I believe that they wanted to be coached. I mean, Jalen watched more film than any stars that I have ever been around, period. Wow. Before practice, after practice, when we watch it as a team, and we watched a lot of film, way more film than when we were on the floor. And it was always critiquing. It was dialogue on there. And it was like, you didn't have to coach because those guys, and Rob knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you got really good players, man, them dudes is up in there talking about, well, Al, you got to open up for me right there so I can slide through. And then, D White, if you jump to the ball, you'll give me a second so I can get back. Like things like that. Yeah. Man, that's priceless. It just makes it so easier. And their work ethics is unbelievable. Both of them, again, work out in the morning, then come back, work out at night, get their shots up and do different things. And, it's just, when I was there, the cohesion of that group, I was so surprised at how connected they were, and I was surprised at how fast it came together, in that first year. Because if you remember, we struggled for about 3 months, 3.5 months. Matter of fact, I go all the way back. R.J. Barrett hit a shot on us in the Garden. We were like 21 and 22. And it was like, what are we going to do? And then we found our remedy and we moved forward. But the cohesion and the connectivity of that group, man, and, then going into the second year, even with everything that happened, the cohesion and the connectivity kept everybody together. I personally, and Rob can speak to this way more than I can. Man, we were so tired, and then when we had what happened, it drains you. It drains you too. Like you're trying to, like people have no, like we went through the season. We played till damn near Father's Day. We took 2 weeks off. We came back to Summer League. We took another 2 weeks off. Then we're going around seeing guys around the country. Then we come back Labor Day weekend. Things happen. We change, then we go to All-Star game. We coach the All-Star game. Man, I was tired. So if I'm tired, I can't imagine what them dudes is going through. It was just so much. But I just think, those two guys, being the leaders of that team, and I think they balance each other out. That's the best thing about it. You got two superstars that are totally different players. You usually don't get that. You usually got guys that are the same. They are two totally different players. I think JB is an elite scorer. He's an elite rebounder. He's an elite defender, and he's an evolving playmaker. And I think Jason has all he has all of that. You know what I mean? And so it's almost like you rarely have teams where you can take turns where guys are that good, that young, and understand what it is where they have perspective, to what it takes to win at that age.
You talk about, guys like Jason, even when he was at Duke, I always look at it. There are certain guys that come through college basketball, and you just look at them, whether they're one and done or whether they stay a couple of years, and you say, that dude has an NBA game already. The way he moves, the way, his build is. I said the same thing about, Banchero when he was at Duke at 6'10", 250, just the way that he moves. There are just certain guys. You got guys in college that are drafted and they get developed and they turn into, pretty good players. And then there are guys who are in college who you see is like, nah, he's ready to play now. And I saw that about Jason when he was at Duke. So him having that success that he's having is no surprise at all.
Yeah, no, he he understands the game, and I think that as he gets older and he evolves even more, I think he'll turn into a vocal leader. I think he is a leader. He leads a lot by example.
Yeah.
But I think that he'll eventually grow into a vocal leader. I think that everybody would like him to be more of a vocal leader, and I think that again is something that maybe he's never been asked to do because he's always, as the best player, when, again, he does lead by example. Sometimes when you get to the NBA, like, you got to say stuff to people sometimes, man. Closed mouths don't get fed, and you got to, you have to be able to articulate your thoughts and convey that to your teammates.
Yeah. I think the biggest point for me when we talk about leadership and stuff, and when you trying to be a leader, people always think it's always about the rah-rah stuff. And I tell everybody, it's always not about stepping up and yelling from that. It's about going to whoever it is on the court and talking to them. I used to go to Shaq, used to go to Kobe, even go with Dream. I remember one time I yelled at Dream and everybody looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, no, dude, I'm trying to let him know he ain't above everybody. We all got to play the right way in order to win. But it's a way you got to, the smart ones figure out how to communicate with each individual on the team. And you can, like for me, you can yell at Shaq, say, get your big ass down the court. He'll do it. And then Kobe, you just go to him, you talk to him, say, yo, man, this is what's happening. The guys are upset that you're not passing the ball, da-da-da-da-da. And so this is things that you got to learn about each individual. And some people are uncomfortable with it. I know, you think about it. I play with Dream. Dream didn't say a word. He just played with Tim. Tim probably said, he probably said something like every blue moon. But it was the fact that how you bring together, it's not always the leaders on the team. It's the guys the vets, the guys who know the pulse of the team that can go out and say, yo, man, this is what we need to do.
And you're 100% right. And, that guy right now, I just, Al Horford was so good. Al was, guys have roles that go way beyond the court, Rob, like you said, and that was the OG Al. What I called him OG Al.
Yeah.
He had a great feel. He got a great balance. And he always knew the pulse of the room, or if there's something that's needed, he'll pull those guys together. He pulls them together because he understands. And then as you get a little older and his time is, he know his window closing. It means a little more to you too. You know what I mean? To try to get to that championship.
Yeah, you got to get those guys ready right now. So your voice, I'm gonna use my voice now because we don't need to lose too many games because we need that positioning.
Yeah.
What's, I guess, been the toughest thing thus far that you've, I guess, kind of had to face in such a short tenure as a head coach at Tech?
That's a good question. I just think, it's always the buy-in on the initial. I got some players that were here from previous years, and you're just trying to get them to understand. Like, I understand change myself. And Rob can attest to this too, man. When you've been traded or coach fired mid-season, all that stuff, man, you just change on the run. Like, it's like human nature. Like, when somebody got traded that you was partners with, it might have messed you up for about a week and a half. Then you got back on balance. You figured it out. Like, man, my dog is gone. But for that moment, you find a new dog. You find somebody else.
Hey, you be mad as shit when your partner gone. Like, damn it.
Yeah.
You mad at the organization. You mad at your teammates. It's your fault he got traded.
Right. And so I think that like with kids, they don't understand change. And so I'm not trying to change you guys. I'm trying to get you guys to buy into what I'm doing. So we got to work together because, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to be here. Some of you guys are older. You got 1 year. You got to fall in line. Like, let's do it together. We can still do it together, but you got to embrace change. And I think that on the initial, there was a little bit of, I won't say resistance, but hesitancy. And I think it cost us a couple games early, you know, but I think that, you know, now that you're seeing, and even though we did just come off a 5-game losing streak. Now, we were in all the games, but, you know, the connectivity never wavered. And the one thing about it is when we lost to Duke, it was a big game for us. And although we lost going in that locker room, that was the first time that I felt like I looked in everybody's eyes and everybody was disappointed. Like I felt like, and looking in each player's eyes, it was no longer, man, we hoped to win. We should have won that game. And that's what I felt like those guys look like. And so when we, you know, playing Clemson the other night, that game went to script of how the other 5 had went. But this time we pulled it out, and we pulled it out on the road, a quad 1 win against a really good team. And so I just think that the buy-in took a little long. And then I'll say this, and you know, I'm not into the numbers that everybody else be into. I'm a little different when I say what I was about to say. I think the ACC tough as hell. I've been in 3 conferences as a coach in college. I was in the Pac-12, and then I was in the Conference USA that went to AAC, and now I'm here in the ACC. And what I'm telling you is that I don't think the ACC gets enough credit, because the reality of it is that, you know, the way college basketball is, and this is no excuse, but this is reality. Man, you can base your schedule on buy games and just buy 10, 11 wins. Or you can not know your team, which most people don't know their team in the summertime, the way the portal is, and you start scheduling, and then you playing November games and your team don't have no connectivity, you're not together, and then you get off to a bad start, they throw your whole year off.
Yeah.
So now you fighting playing come from behind. And what I would say about some of the teams in our league is I think that happens. You know, some people say, man, whatever. But what I'm telling you is that it's a tough ass league, and I think that, you know, to go to Duke and play against Duke, I think that going into Clemson and playing at Clemson, I think going to Florida State, you know, going and playing at Florida State, man, them 3 tough places to play.
Yeah.
That's going to be hard for anybody in the country to go in there and win.
Yeah.
No, and so I just don't think I don't understand. You know, I'm kind of like from the old school, Rob, you know, where they used to call it strength of schedule.
Yeah.
They used to call it strength of schedule. And back when we was playing, you can be 17-14, but if your schedule was right, man, you made the tournament.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, so that for me is the biggest things that, you know, through 17 games for me that's been eye openers.
All right, well, listen, unless you guys got anything else, I know Coach is busy, man. He got a program
I know.
to run. He tired.
So they always grill me. They grilled me on this, and they were shocked that I was able to do this. So, can you name all the players that were drafted ahead of you, and which one did you like? What the fuck is he going in front of me for?
Man, that's easy. That's easy.
No, see, you can all do it.
Okay.
You can all do it.
Okay, so my draft, I remember it like it was yesterday.
Oh man.
Joe Smith went 1.
Uh-huh.
McDyess went 2. Stackhouse went 3. Rasheed went 4. KG went 5. Brian Country went 6, and I went 7. I was like, how the hell Brian Country?
It's always the pick before you. I said the same thing about Adam Keefe. Like, why the fuck is this guy going before me? And I just killed his ass in the NCAA tournament.
and the cold thing about it, when I look back on it, and then I was like, Man, Vancouver didn't even bring me in for a visit, man. Every time I played against them, I got to give it to them.
Hey, Coach, I do have one more question. I know some of the, whether when you're in the league and you got some of the guys that are playing now, even coaching, everybody has their little pregame ritual, music that they listen to, certain artists they listen to. Anything on the playlist? What do you do to get ready for any game each and every day?
Nah, I'd be a little shook now. It's a little different coaching than playing. Now I just kind of, I just kind of relax and I kind of try to frame the game in my mind. I try to script it, so to speak, just so I know. And, I try to watch a lot of film to know, especially now, since I'm coming into a new league. So I don't know these coaches. I'm trying to figure out, I'm always big on college, I think, is a little different than the pros from the standpoint of the players always change in college and the coaches don't. So I try to figure out like the coaching style. So that's kind of like as I go through the league right now, I'm trying to figure out what each coach, what's their meat and potatoes? What do they do? What's their adjustments? What are their different things? So that's why I probably watch even more film since I haven't coached against a lot of these guys to figure those things out. So I don't necessarily listen to too much music, but I try to lock into that part of it so I can just help my team for what's to come.
All right,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, we'll let you bounce, man. We appreciate you so much, and good luck, continued success with Tech. I mean, obviously, we're here in Atlanta. Rob's overall in freaking Los Angeles. We got to get him to town, but we're looking forward to seeing you in the future here, man.
Yeah, hey, don't be mad because we are nice. 60 degrees over here. Don't be mad.
No, we're freezing our ass off over here, man. Y'all in Southern California, we're freezing.
Oh yeah, it's cold out here, man.
Tell you what,
freezing, dog.
dude.
Hey, Coach.
Anytime, man. I come back home, man. Anytime. This is good, man. Anytime.
Man. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, good luck, Coach. Boy. If you ever need me, I'm here for you.
All right, Rob. I appreciate you, dog.
All right.
Rob.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Rob. They got a dude. Man, they got a stone cold killer out there in Alabama right now. A young fella named Caleb Holt, man. He number 2 in the country, man.
Oh, he can go.
Man, Caleb been down here a couple times. I had Caleb on camera about 3 times. Stone cold killer, man.
Hey, you better when you say that, guys from Alabama, you gotta be careful how you say that, man, because you gotta be careful how you say that. But one of my friends told me about him. I looked at some of his highlights. He can play. He can play.
Oh no, Caleb is nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't get that many. It's like every 10 years you get a really nice player out of the state of Alabama. So I'm glad to see we got one coming up now.
Yeah.
All right, good. Thank you again to our friend Brandon Harper here for making that happen. Getting Coach Stoudamire on the show.
Hey,
good
man,
dude,
you gotta
man.
put it like that. That's a friend of mine, and he could get him, and I couldn't.
No.
Well,
here's the difference: is Brandon did the work. you don't do the fucking work.
I put in work. He just don't call me back. I can show you the whole text chain.
Oh goodness, here we go. He's got receipts. Oh, here we go.
Hey,
don't do that.
Means he respects you more than he respects me. I should have called him out on that.
He barely look. No. Here's the thing. I don't go through him. I go through.
You go through Georgia Tech. Yeah, we work for Georgia Tech here, so yeah, it makes sense.
My thing is, and it helps the fact that I'm in the city. I'm here. Yeah.
Right, you go to these games, you see him, you talk to him, you build a relationship, and Rob throws him a text.
Dame's a good dude. Right. I mean, he's
a good man.
Mm-hmm. And Rob, you know this better than anybody. Obviously, you know him well, but watching him as a coach, especially this young of a juncture in his head coaching career, or at least at Georgia Tech, how even keel he is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, anytime I hear him speak, whether it being a win or a loss, he means what he says.
Yeah.
There are just certain people where you can tell they don't have to raise their voice. They ain't got to always cuss you out. But when they say something, they mean what they say. Yeah. And Damon is one of those guys that every time he says something, at least to the media, so I know he means it to his players, you could tell that he always means what he says.
You know what's weird? I remember the days when we had the same strength and conditioning coach, James Cooper, forever. We used to be, every day he would come in and talk about basketball or whatever college, when he would just talk about detail and stuff. And I'm like, I'm just trying to get my work out of it. I said, we lived that. I ain't trying to talk about it. but you can tell that one day he was going to be a coach because he was when you talk about attention to detail, there's a lot of guys don't have that were like star players like him, but he had attention to detail. He and Ty Lue, they remind me each other a lot how they used to be like really detail oriented.
Yeah. It he's got a weird team. He said before
really
his
does.
team is weird, but
It's
these
also
are
his
guys
first year.
Yeah.
It's going to take him time.
Put
those pieces together.
Georgia Tech brass have to be. You got to be patient, because you got to allow him to get. You got to allow him to get a full recruiting cycle in. And,
right, you got to get your guys. You got to get everybody, like you talked about in the interview. You got to get guys to kind of buy into the mentality of the team and the approach and everything he's doing. So give him time. I think he'll be successful at Tech. I do. He's too damn good of a dude to fail. So thanks again to Coach Stoudamire. Before we get to our game this week, we do have a big shot of the week to give out. How about the playoffs, man? We didn't talk about the NFL playoffs. Dude, a couple wild games, man. I can't believe, and my wife is a Niners fan. About halftime, I'm getting texts from our neighbors. Hey, just doing a welfare check on Shannon. How's she? I swear to God, they're like, "Is she okay? Does she need it? Should we bring some wine?" I'm like, "She'll be okay." And then by the end of the night, she was on cloud nine. Freaking 27-point swing in that game in like 10 minutes.
Man, I had to go on a plane, and I was like, "Okay, this is not happening. Oh shit, this is happening."
Yeah, well, this is a game all of a sudden. Yeah,
it is. This is one of those situations where it's kind of like, this is why football is two halves. This is why it's two halves. Now,
completely.
You have folks in, I understand that obviously, regardless of what happened in this game, round of applause for the city of Detroit and round of applause for the Lions, the way they've been able to turn things around the way that they did.
Yeah,
and nobody really expected this. But hey. When you are Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and you're aggressive, there are times and moments where, bro, you got to dial that aggression back. And I mean by it, when you're in field goal territory and it's fourth down, take the points, dog. You don't be macho man every time, especially on the road.
When you're up by 14, take the 3. Like if you're down 7, I get going for it on fourth down.
Yeah,
you got a 2-score lead.
Take the points, brother.
Take the 3 and walk. And by the way, you lost the game by 3 points.
Mm-hmm.
You could have gone to overtime with a field goal. Had everything else not happened the way it happened. I mean,
and you fumbled the ball in the second half.
Drop passes, fumbles. I mean, they gave away every opportunity. But like, even if you just dial it back to that one play, you take your 3 points and you go to overtime. You go for it on fourth. You don't even get the opportunity.
I also think about the psychological part of the game. You get a big stop on fourth down, it hypes your team up. It draws that energy from places you didn't think you could draw it from.
In San Francisco.
Yes.
And the crowd all of a sudden is back at it.
Yeah, if you kick that field goal, the crowd like, fuck this, let's go home. And it takes the air out of the stadium. It takes the air out of it's like, that many points. I remember the first time I ever experienced this because I was a big Oilers fan. And when they were playing Buffalo Bills and they up, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh, that's right.
I'm like, oh shit. I knew half those guys. We all stayed in the same neighborhood. And I'm like, well, damn.
Oh, that's right.
That was the chance to win a fucking Super Bowl. Y'all had the best defense. Y'all had the best offense.
That was the Oilers.
Yeah, y'all let the Buffalo Bills
come back. That was
the old
Houston Oilers, man.
Yeah. Me and Chris Dishman were real good friends because he lived next door to me. I wanted to go stand on his doorstep like, man, what the fuck happened?
What'd you do?
I was like, damn, Dish. I'm like, shit.
And far be it from me to give any type of I'll be objective. I won't be subjective. Congratulations to the 49ers. They're the back-to-back games when it comes to the Packers and when it comes to the Lions. They struggled.
Oh, in both of those games, terribly.
And they found ways to win, especially in
the second half.
Yeah.
In the second half when they needed it, they got it done.
Now, I know this is the Super Bowl, and obviously we'll get over to the AFC, but This is the Super Bowl that I think a lot of the country did not want.
No, it's Taylor Swift and the Niners. No, we don't want to do this. Everyone wanted Baltimore and Detroit.
It's funny, though. I was rooting for Detroit just for the fact that they've been so terrible for so long. But now I'm rooting for. The only reason I'm rooting. I don't want to talk about why I'm rooting for KC, but I'm rooting for KC.
Oh, yeah, I'm rooting for KC, too. I hate the 49ers.
It's like,
I have to root for the 49ers. You don't understand. I don't have a choice here. There's no choice in the matter.
It's some things for me from when, it dates back to, the kneeling stuff that I'm like, some players on their team that said stuff about, him kneeling. I just don't like the fact that is just a whole nother topic that we can talk about another day. But I'm just going,
okay.
I'm going for KC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, Kansas City's a different team in the playoffs. I don't care who they are in the regular season, dude.
Like
they are a different team in the playoffs. They are. They're the Lakers of the NFL.
No, they are not. No, they are not. You know why? Because they win.
They win. I know you're
I guess that's true, yeah. In the biggest moments, they find a way.
Here's the thing about this KC team. And obviously, I was rooting for Baltimore because I want to see Lamar get a title.
I did want to see Baltimore advance, yeah.
Yeah, I want to see him, even though he'll probably win his second MVP. There's still that thing where people say, yeah, but, it's one of those Peyton Manning type of things. Yeah, you won the MVP, but you can't get past such and such. Yeah, Pat Mahomes is like his Tom Brady. You see what I'm saying? Hey, you can win your MVP and have a great season, but you can't get past that guy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And Pat Mahomes, this team right here, we talked about how they led the league in drop passes. He doesn't have a number one receiver outside of Travis Kelce. This team can't, because they can't catch a cold. Guess what? There were some pivotal catches in that game that sealed the deal. How ironic.
Yeah. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes never lost faith in his receivers. He's like,
right.
Yo, we're going to ride or die. And at the end of the day, if you don't catch it, I got Kelce. I got my legs.
If they win this year, this will be his best Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure this will be the greatest Super Bowl for him because of what all the obstacles they ever had.
Yeah, the regular season struggles they had all year, and like everything you just said, every obstacle they faced, and they were down and they weren't playing well.
And Tyreek Hill is like this.
Yeah, and he's home. He's home in Miami, but he's home.
I can never understand. I can never understand why he left the Chiefs, man. I know.
Well, they weren't going to pay him.
Yeah, but sometimes if you would you rather get? I don't know how much. I don't know what his contract is, and I'm sure the Chiefs.
Oh, he's getting paid somewhere in Miami. I'm sure he's getting paid.
Gave him something close to what he was going to make, but he can make that up in endorsements for winning a Super Bowl, couldn't he?
Yeah, here's the thing. I also think that the Chiefs know they have Pat Mahomes, so they know they have the actual man that can make things happen. Yeah. Yes, Tyreek is amazing, and obviously Pat Mahomes would have loved to keep him there because he's the cheater.
But he's the best receiver in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: give me the best quarterback in the league over the best receiver in the league, because I can pair him with decent enough receivers to make it happen, and that's exactly what he's done.
2022, Tyreek Hill signed a 4-year, $120 million contract with the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay, I understand why.
So I think he's doing all right. It's just he's scraping by, but he's doing okay. All right, big shot of the week this week is going to go to a barber named Vernon Jackson. Thank you to our friend Timothy McDaniel, who sent us this story on Twitter. It's freaking awesome. Vernon is the owner of Noble Barber and Beauty Shop in Cincinnati, Ohio. He has a lot of parents of special needs kids that come in and ask him for help because he's really good with the special needs kids. He understands the patience of what goes into it. A lot of barbers don't. These parents share a lot of like horror stories of dealing with other barbers that can't cut their kids' hair. He started coming in on his day off and offering free haircuts to any kid, parent, special needs. Come in, I will take, and he chunks off time for these kids, and he spends time with them, and he does it on his only day off every week. The one day a week he has off, he comes in and he donates his time for nothing, and he does not charge any of these families for these haircuts because he knows that the simplest thing like a haircut and taking patience and time with that child will go miles for these parents, and they're not afforded that a lot of other places, and he does it for nothing. So that's like big shot of the year caliber.
Yes.
I mean, that's huge.
because I know having a special needs daughter, you have to have a certain mindset and a certain understanding. Love. I'm just saying love.
There's
love for people.
You're right.
With special needs, and I think that's a hell of a big shot for him, man. Because
awesome.
I know how it is.
Such an awesome story.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, shout out Vernon. Good job, man.
Thank you, Vernon, for your patience.
Yeah, God bless you. All right, quick game. We'll wrap up. We'll close it out this week. I got a quick 5-question high-low game. We'll see how you guys do on this. I'm just going to give you a stat, a number. You guys got to just guess higher or lower. We'll see how you guys do. The first one is going to come from Anthony Edwards. He became the third youngest player in the NBA to reach 6,000 career points. Higher or lower, LeBron, who did it the fastest, did it by the age of 22. Higher or lower? Was he older or younger?
Younger. Slightly younger.
Okay. Rob?
I'm going to go older just because he went younger.
Point goes to B-Dog, 21 years old. 21 years and 89 days.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was, barely over 21 when he did it. Got to 6,000 points.
Hey, man, that dude is special, man. I don't know if y'all been really watching him. He is something special, man.
Oh, I thought you were talking about LeBron. I'm like, sure.
We know LeBron is special.
No, Ant-Man.
No, Ant-Man he's been a lot of fun. Again, I don't watch a ton of their games, but I usually try to catch what I can from him through like the highlights and the recap packages and stuff. And everything I've seen, you're right. He's just, man, he's fun.
Mm-hmm. He's a pit bull. Like he's not scared of a soul. He'll go at anybody. He's a tough dude, and I love his game.
That's the dirty South in him, boy.
Yeah, man, that's the Georgia in him. Come get you some.
That's just what it is.
Number 2, Ben Simmons back on the floor in Brooklyn this week for the first time in a long time.
To do what?
I don't know. Apparently play basketball.
He had a decent game the other night.
Oh, he actually played?
Yeah. No, he played. Yeah.
First game back.
I think they lost, but he played.
I think he almost had a triple-double.
Yeah, he did all right. Okay. Higher or lower, Ben Simmons is going to make $35 million this season.
Ooh, if it's lower, it ain't much. I'm going to go a little bit higher because I feel as though that contract is egregious.
I think I saw this where I think it's like 34.5, so I'm going lower.
Oh, dang. B got you again. It's higher. Mm-hmm. He's gonna make $37.9 million this year.
He eating good. He eating real good.
This is the first game he's played this year. He's teetering on $40 million.
Hey, and that just ain't a regular bench he was sitting on. That's a gold bench. 24 karat.
Ooh, he spends a lot of time on it.
Crusted.
Hey, you want it to look nice. You gotta look nice. I'm gonna be here for a while. All right, number 3. We received the current list of the top-selling jerseys from across the NBA up to this point in the season. Higher or lower, Joel Embiid is at number 10.
I thought I saw this too, but I can't remember.
What do you think, Rob?
I say lower. I just
lower
don't,
than 10.
I stay lower than 10. I just don't think he's because you got the Stephs, the LeBrons,
Wemby,
because you got Luka. All these guys are coming. So.
I say slightly lower.
So you're both going lower.
Yeah.
Joel Embiid is at number 12. He is lower. Yeah, number 12.
Yeah, I just don't think he, as much of a superstar that he is, he's not the. He's not okay. I'm putting it to you like this. He's not the sexy superstar.
Yeah.
If for the lack of a better term, I know that sounds weird,
no,
so we can put a pause there.
Well,
okay. Pause.
Yeah, you got to understand. This is just like he's a great player. He's like Dream in the sense, hell of a players, but for some reason people just don't recognize him off the court. It's like they talk about him, but they don't buy their jerseys. It's like, oh, he's a hell of a player. Oh, he's one of the best centers ever, but they just don't buy their jerseys. It's the weirdest thing, because everybody's, oh, you got an MJ jersey in. Oh, you got a Steph Curry jersey. Oh, you got a KD. It's like, because he does it the old-fashioned way, just grind it out. It's not a bunch of threes that, it's like the long ball in baseball. The chicks dig the long ball, chicks dig the home runs. Yeah. So they love the long ball, the threes in this game.
And I think a lot of people associate with Joel Embiid is how many games he gonna miss.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any guess who's number one? On the list?
Yeah, I know it's Steph.
It is Steph, which honestly surprised me again this year that Steph was number one. I figured he'd be up there. I didn't think he'd be the top seller. Number 2 was Tatum. Number 3 was LeBron. Number 4 was Wemby. Number 5 is Giannis. Number 6 is Luka. You guys mentioned a lot of these. 7 is Booker. 8 is Durant. Number 9 is Tyrese Maxey.
Huh?
And this is from the NBA, by the way.
But I also think, wait, let me tell you why I think that's the case. I think, one, because Tyrese is younger. His game is a lot more suitable for this generation. Like,
flashy.
The kid's looking, flashy.
Yeah.
So obviously, with him being younger, being more relatable, his game being more flashy, a lot of the kids, especially in the Philadelphia area, it's no slight against Joel Embiid, but I guess in the Philly area and just around the NBA, see him as more of the guy that's more relatable to the fan base that watches it.
Okay. Number 10 was Dame. Number 11, Ja Morant. Still up there.
See, I thought he'd have been top 10.
Yeah, Joel was 12. Number 13, LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo still hovering. It's just he in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And he stay hurt.
Yeah. I'm surprised. All right,
I know you don't. I know you don't.
I was going to say the same.
We haven't been home.
We
haven't been home. We've been traveling. We haven't been home, so we didn't have time.
Bro.
All right, if you're not watching on the YouTube feed, Candace so casually
they can see you.
crawls in on the floor to Rob's office like we're not going to see what's going on. The door.
Yeah.
What is she doing?
She's I don't know what she's doing, man.
She can come in. She's not interrupting anything.
And that tree is still well decorated.
And there's a Christmas tree
We've
up
taken
behind.
everything down, but you got to understand.
It is January 31st.
Dude, we haven't been home.
Tomorrow is February.
We taking it down today. We get ready to take it down now. We haven't been home. You forget all the stuff that's been going on with us.
That's all.
No, look. All I hear is excuse.
Yeah.
Nah, I'd rather go with this narrative.
Well,
that, bro.
Hold on a second. What? Yes, I'm live.
It doesn't matter. We're fine. It's okay. She can come into the office. It's not like we're gonna Oh,
she's so funny about that. I'm like, what are you doing, woman? Like, just text me if you want.
We're not going to see her crawl in on the floor behind you. Like, what are you doing, girl? Get off the floor. All right, last one in the. Or no, we got 2 more lower higher. Doc Rivers, we talked about, took over as the head coach of the Bucks. Higher or lower? Doc Rivers has 1,000 career regular season wins.
Higher.
Higher.
Well, you're both right. Just shy of 1,100. 1,097 regular season wins for Doc Rivers.
That because he's been in the news so much. I'm like, I know that.
Okay. Last one. We talked about Luka's 73-point game. Only 11 players have had 10 or more 50-point games. Only 11 have done it 10 times. There are some superstars on that list. Jordan had 31. Kobe had 25. Harden had 23. Higher or lower, the leader on the list, Wilt Chamberlain, had 90.
Jesus.
50-point games. Higher or lower?
I'm going higher. I got to go way higher.
So you think he had more than 90 50-point games in his career?
Yes.
Okay.
No, even if it is a little lower, it's still ridiculous.
First of all, he was 7'2", and he playing against people like Rob Jennings.
He's playing against short white people. That's what you're saying. Just say short white people. That's all you gotta say.
I'm just saying.
No, just say it. Just short white people. It's fine.
Because everything else we talk about, Will, is absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna go ahead and say higher.
Because he averaged 51 seasons, so he has to be more than 100.
So Wilt Chamberlain had 118 50-plus point games in his career. The next highest on the list is Michael Jordan at 31. That is mind-boggling.
I'm gonna say that's gonna be broken by either Luka or Booker.
I don't think either of them are even on the list of guys that have gotten 10.
Wait, hold on. What was that? What was that again?
Luka or Devin Booker are going to have more than 118 50-point games.
More because Luka. Because think about this. Luka is not a player who's going to. He might get hurt, but he's not a player that's going to get hurt by coming down on someone's ankle. He's a low impact type of player. And his game is so slow and methodical that he can get that. And Booker is just a fucking flat out scorer. He can do it too. So
let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Do you think, and it might be different, I don't know why I'm comparing these two, but I think I'm only doing it from the standpoint of, I guess, why do we think Luka could be the one to break the record? Do you think Luka's a better scorer than Kobe?
Yes. And the only reason I say that is because of the era. It has nothing to do with the talent. It has to do with the era. Okay. Because the way they call, think about it, Kobe could get hit upside the head, not get a foul call. And now if Kobe was in this era, Kobe would definitely do it. So it's the era that I'm talking about. It's not the player, it's the era. You know, there's no defense that's being played in this era. So
I get what you're saying. I'm gonna still say no, because even though Luka plays in this era, his offensive repertoire and what's in his offensive bag, even when it comes to footwork, ain't what Kobe was.
Oh, I just said that. Ain't nothing but the guys don't want to play defense. And Luka's think about it. As long as Kyrie can let Luka do his thing, that's the only thing that's going to slow him down, because Kyrie takes some away from some of the points he can get. But Luka, you know, think about this. Luka came into this league. He couldn't have did this in our era. Oh, yeah, NBA is easy. I can score all I want. Think about it. He came into the league saying that he could average 30. And dude is doing that. You know, nobody has any pride like, oh, this dude said average 30. Nah, we're going to shut him down. He can do what he wants. So I say Luka's going to be, by the time he retires, he'd probably be second on the list as far as 50-point games.
It's a win for the white people. I got no. Well, you were crapping on tiny white people a minute ago, so I got to give us a win somewhere, Damon.
I was crapping on short people.
Oh, my bad.